Back on Get Up, and we have significant breaking news just into our newsroom from Ramona Shelburne and Brian Windhorst. Clippers superstar Kawhi Leonard is expected to miss tonight's Game 5 against Utah with a right knee injury and could be out for the remainder of the series. He tweaked that knee on a drive late in the Game 4 win, grimacing in pain as he planted on his way to the basket. We talked about it a bit yesterday. We didn't see that necessarily being the significant issue that it appears now that it may be. That's one piece of significant basketball news. Here's another. Phoenix star point guard Chris Paul has entered the NBA's health and safety protocol and is out indefinitely, jeopardizing his availability for the Western Conference Finals. A source confirming that news to ESPN. It was first reported by The Athletic that Paul would be sidelined indefinitely as a result of entering the protocol. If Paul is already vaccinated against COVID, he could be facing a shorter absence from the Suns. So there are a lot of moving pieces in all of this, and my understanding is we're trying to get Seth Greenberg back, and we do have him. Seth, thank you very much for racing back in front of the camera. So let's go first off to the Clippers and the Jazz. That series has been so hard fought. Kawhi so good in big moments in this postseason. He was very good in Game 4. What chance do the Clippers have of winning tonight without him?
It's really difficult. I mean, you think with Kawhi Leonard, it's not just points, it's rebounds, it's his defense, it's his 50-50 balls, it's his way he keeps plays alive on the glass. I mean, you don't replace Kawhi Leonard, and he makes big plays at the end of the games. Everyone talks about three-level scorers. He's not only a three-level scorer, he's a three-level defender because he can block shots, he can contest you, he can stop you from catching the ball where you want to catch it, and then he gets you extra possessions and hustle plays and on the offensive glass. I mean, that's one guy that they can't replace. And look, more pressure on playoff P, I guess. I mean, that's just the way it's going to be. But you can't replace Kawhi Leonard. I mean, that's just the way it is. He's just too good, and he's a winning player. And what is a winning player? A guy that at the end of the game you can count on. That dude at the end of the game, offensively and defensively, you can count on.
So a team that has won its last two games and looked all of a sudden like it had that momentum we've been waiting for a long time to see from them, now facing at least tonight without their best player. And then you see the words on your screen, could miss remainder of this series. That could tilt absolutely everything as we go here. And so how do you approach that if you're a coach? If you lose your best player in this circumstance, you don't just throw it in and say, well, guys, it's unfortunate that it went this way. Give me an approach from the Clippers tonight and Utah.
Well, the great thing about the Clippers, they've played without Kawhi this year. I don't know exactly what their record is, but it's, when you talk about load management, this is a Clipper organization that has dealt with that throughout the season. So it's not like they haven't had a lineup without Kawhi Leonard. They're going to have to be that team. Now, what are they going to have to do? All right, well, they're going to have to make sure that they take care of the basketball. They've got to have someone else step up. They've got to make sure that they're that much more connected defensively. There are things that they're going to have to do. Now, they're playing against a team that's also limping in because they're probably going to be playing without Mike Conley. So you talk about two teams without impactful players. I think that this situation becomes a little bit more difficult because you're looking at the Jazz. The Jazz have beaten the Clippers without Conley. We don't know what the Clippers can do without Kawhi on this stage in this moment.
To your point, you see Hembo with the stat there on your screen. The Clippers were 11-9 without Kawhi this season, but the stakes are obviously so different. Yeah. Then we turn our attention to Chris Paul, who has a star-crossed history in the postseason with a variety of injuries that have gone a long way towards keeping him from ever getting to the NBA Finals. And now he has this team that is playing so well, and they sweep their way through Denver, and they're sitting and they're waiting. The wait might actually wind up working extremely well for him. The soonest they could play would be Sunday, Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. If there was a Game 7 between Utah and the Clippers, they wouldn't play until next Tuesday. So he has that going for him. But clearly, Seth, if they were to have to play without Chris Paul, that would be an enormous loss for the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah, it's devastating. It's Chris Paul who makes all the right plays, who everyone turns to when the game is on the line. Chris Paul, who basically, is the leader of this team every which way possible. Just not having him in practice, not having him in your facility, not having him around your team, a young team that looks for someone to basically give them direction besides Coach Williams. I mean, to me, it's huge. Now, here's the big question. If this other series continues to move on, I can't imagine a scenario where Chris Paul doesn't play. I can't imagine a scenario where Chris Paul doesn't eventually get back and play in that final series. So will he miss one game? Will he miss no games? I'm not sure. But you take Chris Paul away from that team, all right, every team has a heartbeat. And Chris Paul is the heartbeat of the Phoenix Suns. As good as Devin Booker is, as good as Ayton has been, as good as this team has played, whether it's Bridges defensively running the floor, you'd have to have someone that's going to facilitate to get the ball to people on time, on target, initiate the fast break, make that advance pass. But more importantly, when things go a little south, you need someone that can bring that group together and say, all right, let's get to the next play. It's one stop. It's one good offensive possession. All right, at the end of a game, he's going to make the right play. So there's no replacement for Chris Paul. He's one of those unreplaceable players, and it has as much to do with his leadership as to do with his play on the floor.
It's a sensitive topic as well, but his vaccination status will go a long way towards determining how long he is gone. And to your point about his leadership, in COVID protocol, he'll be completely separated from everyone. So it's not like he can even be there at practice, can be there in meetings, can be around the team, regardless of which way it goes for some period of time. And again, we do not know. So if you're just joining us, the enormous breaking news, Kawhi Leonard will miss at least tonight's Game 5 for the Clippers against Utah with a knee that he hurt late in Game 4. It could be a longer absence than that. And Chris Paul has entered the league's COVID protocol. We do not have any idea yet just how long he'll be apart from his team. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.